an excellent opportunity to have your grace at this time, Sayyidina, with the recent events that are happening in Egypt after the June 30th revolution. How do you protect freedom from being overtaken by a tyrant or a dictator who hijacks freedom?
I think what is going on in Egypt, which makes it difficult for the American people to understand when they think that there is a coup, military coup, and ended by deposing a president who democratically elected. Yes, this is what appears, which of course it's not accepted, but if they understand how this regime and how this president and his group, they abused the opportunity which is given to them, and they start to break the democracy, and they use their own rules, trying to bring their peoples to occupy the major positions in the countries, and also not taking care of the welfare of the country. So the people felt that the country is going in a wrong direction, and that's why millions of people went to the street protesting about the direction of the country. And they have the right, because in democracy, at the end, the people, they have the right, they vote for the president, and if they feel the president is not moving in the right direction, they have the right, in the right time, to protect the country.
And what does Your Grace think about the events and the future, the near future and the far future for Egypt?
Of course, what happened was not the best solution, but this was a practical one, what the available position. For we wished that is the president to respect the demand of the people, and to look to the many call for them to consider himself as a president for all Egyptians, not for a certain group. We hoped that as the president, when he saw the millions going to the street, to listen to them and to respond to their need. So unfortunately, we ended to still there is a major group in the society who are not happy with what happened, and still they resist, fighting against this change. And I hope that they can understand what happened in a more understanding way, and they join the other Egyptians to build the future of the country, because the country is facing a lot of challenges, and without the cooperation of all Egyptians together, we will not be able to go forward. But if we repeat the same and start to fighting again against each other without any reconciliation, so I think that we will find still in this vicious circle of having a president and removing a president. Ironically, Egypt, the Egyptian who used even not to dare to criticize a living president during his time. We never have a former president. Usually we have a living president or a died president who is dead. But now the Egyptian, in very short time, less than 2 years, they have two former presidents who are deposed by the people, and two former presidents who are in prisons. We didn't have any experience to have a former president. And where is this former president to live? How you deal with the former presidents? Unfortunately, these two former presidents, they are deposed by the people, and both of them in prisons.
Your Grace, many news outlets are worried about the reaction of the Muslim Brotherhood as retaliating against the will of the people, really. Is Your Grace hopeful, or how do you see guarding against any attacks?
Regarding the security, I think that is the army in control, the police in control. But I don't believe that is a security solution is the right or the only way. It's a part of it. But without helping these people to be integrated in the society and the political process, we will keep having the same problem. So it needs, from the side of the new government and new leadership, to be open to these people, to understand their desire and their aspirations, and also this group of people to learn from their mistakes and to start to be integrated in the process. And hopefully that is the country can move forward when every Egyptian, every citizen have the same right, nobody to be excluded, and everybody feel that is the country is their own country, and they are working with the welfare of the country.
One of the many major problems people had with the former President Morsi or Grace was the fact that he tried to push a constitution on the people that was not put together by everyone. He alienated a lot of people by insisting on specific items to be there, which would in the end exclude a large number of people. So what does Your Grace see as a good constitution that would be long-lasting for our grandchildren and their children?
The problem happened in this transitional period in Egypt after former President Mubarak was deposed, that they started by the election before the constitution. And when election happened, then a certain group came, this is the Islamists, and they manipulated the constitution. If we started by the constitution when there is a group of people who represent all the society and they are neutral and put the constitution, we would avoid what happened. It is as you have a building, you start by the second floor without putting the foundation. And if you don't have a good foundation, it will fall. So there is a constitution, but it was manipulated. It's not agreed by the people. Even it was a referendum on the constitution, but people know, everybody know how this is formed, how everything is manipulated. So people are not satisfied. And that's why the constitution fall. They suspended the constitution because it is not accepted by people. And they started again. So I think what they are trying to do now, to have another transitional period. They have it for 1 year, and let us do it in the right way. We will start with the constitution, and then we will have the election. And also, people have to trust why we don't have a parliament. Maybe the American people, they don't understand why the people went to the street and not the parliament to ask for the president for the early presidential election, because there is no parliament. And people consider if we don't have a parliament when we have representatives, so all the people go to the street and we consider this is a popular parliament. So they consider what happened in June 30th, this is a session, the General Assembly of the Egyptian people who assemble in the streets in millions, and they have one clear demand, that is the president to be removed and a new election to be done. If they accept that, the Muslim Brotherhoods or their party, they could have their own candidate, and if this candidate win, it's okay. Or, according to even this constitution, the president could call for referendum whether he to remain or not. But he didn't. He didn't accept that. He just turned a blind eye to all this demand of the people and insisted, I am the democratically elected president, which will not help the country in any way.
That's a very important point to clarify, Your Grace, that the people didn't have elected officials to go to and try to change the process over the constitution.
So they go themselves and they documented it. That's why they started by collecting signatures. The Tamarud. So they collected 22 millions, which is more than the number who elected the president. And then they went to the streets He asked people to go to the street. And they consider, as I said, this is like we have a parliament sessions, but for the whole people. Like the General Assembly.
Yes.
General Assembly of the people. We are all gathering, and we are have one demand. They expected, they didn't want to depose Morsi at the beginning. They want Morsi
To listen to them.
to listen. And either he make a kind of proposals for them to be accepted by the people. And he was given several chances, but he refused. He insisted on the same things. Plus, there is loss of trust, because from the beginning he always promised and nothing to happen, just nice words, but no action. So I hope people who look here in America, not to look to the end of the story, but to look to the whole story. And that's why this over 30 million Egyptians, they all like democracy. And we insisted that is military, they should not take over, because we suffer from the military regime in the transitional period.
And to our viewers, Your Grace, that's like 100 million Americans taken to the streets because the country is 300 million. A third, we can't imagine 100 million people going to the street for one issue.
Yeah, and imagine even if we have 30 million Americans asking for one request from the president, can the president ignore this?
No.
And I don't think that is in the history, human history, that is such kind number of billions. They went on the street on the same day,
Yes.
the same time,
The same.
for one request.
Mm.
A very clear request. So why people they don't look to this?
Yeah, 30 million out of 90 million, Your Grace. It's a lot of people. Your Grace, the head of the armed forces, Farik al-Sisi, he was appointed by former President Morsi. What does Your Grace think of the character of this man, the leader of the armed forces? And what he did?
I think that is the point is not Sisi himself. The point is, what is the mission of the military forces? Their role as to protect the country, the border of the country, and also to protect the state from falling. And Egypt was in a direction when we have a risk of the whole state to fall. And the military forces felt that their responsibility is to prevent the fall of the state, not to be failed state like Somalia. And he tried, with his responsibility as the general leader, to call for a dialogue, national dialogue. This has happened in November, after Morsi makes this the constitutional declaration, which start of the creating of the problem, and the big division, and all this demonstration went to the street. And he got the permission from the president, and he called for, and it was a great response. All the opposition, religious leaders, all responded positively for the invitation from him for a meeting, while most of them refused a call from the president. And instead of the president to welcome this, he got the instruction from Maktab al-Irshad, the instructions office of the Brotherhood, and he refused this dialogue to happen. And then he tried personally, but he failed, and it ended by giving 1 week and then the 48. One of the problem of the President Morsi, that is most of the Egyptian felt he is not the real president. We call he is elected, but actually we felt that is somebody else who is leading who is not elected. He's just, he is a president, yes, but most of the direction, most of the major decision is coming from Muslim
headquarters
Brotherhood.
of Brotherhood.
And Muslim Brotherhood, they are not a political body. There is just a charity organization. Yani they register as a charity organization, non-profit corporation, which are not allowed to work in politics. And this situation, which led people to go to the street to be corrected. We elected president. We want a president who be able to take a decision without any direction from somebody else who is not elected. We did not elect the Murshid. That's why when they went to call for the fall of the regime, they didn't say Morsi, they say al-Murshid. يسقط حكم المرشد. The Murshid is not the president, but the people consider him is the real president.
And Your Grace, a lot of people in Egypt are now suffering because of long lines for gas and gasoline, the electricity. There's not enough energy for to power all the homes, and the high unemployment rate and the fall of the stock market and all of that. What does Your Grace see as a way out for Egypt to move forward and be a prosperous country? How do you see that happening?
This is a real challenge for any government. Most of the millions who went to the street against former President Morsi is not because he is from the Muslim Brotherhood or because they're daily suffering. And that's why, even with this change, if the new government will not be able to be clear and transparent with the Egyptian people to tell them what is really the situation is, and bring the Egyptians together to work together to overcome this problem and to show them there is a hope. And they will not solve this problem in 1 day or in 1 year, but at least people to be clear about what's going on and to feel there is a hope. If they don't know it, people will go to the street again, because this is a real challenge for the country. Security, economy. There's two issues. People, they don't feel secure, and because the gangs, the attacks, and people, they feel that the economy is going from bad to worse. And hopefully that is forming a new government from a professional people, and they can choose a good ministers, and this is one of the challenge. The prime minister, the former prime minister, everybody, even the Muslim Islamists, they criticized him, but the president insisted, and people felt that is, they preparing something regarding the election of the parliament. The way he appointed the governors of the governorates, the way of insisting of keeping Hisham and Dil, all create a suspicion. There is something is planned for the parliament election. That's why the people reacted.
And finally, Your Grace, if you have any message for today, the High Justice, Mr. Adli Mansour, was sworn in as the President of Egypt in a temporary situation. So if Your Grace has a message for him and also a message for the Egyptian in Egypt.
I think for him, he needs to be, even for transitional period, to be the president of all Egyptians, even these Islamists. And we are concerned about any reactions, retaliations, because what they did. Those who did something wrong, of course, they are to be accountable. But if they feel they are excluded, and they don't feel that is the new transitional president is not a president of everybody, then he will repeat the same mistake of Hosni Mubarak, the same mistake of Dr. Morsi. The second thing, that is, as a judge, to let people feel there is justice. People, they didn't feel it. People start to say that is some cases in the court, they just manipulated things. So how to let people to trust about the judicial system, the judge of the country, after all what happened, and not to be politically motivated. Unfortunately, some people feel some judges or some cases are politically motivated. Hopefully, he can achieve these two things, to be a president for all Egyptians, even for the short time he will be, and also a person as a judge. Let every Egyptian feel justice prevail in the society.
And a message to the Egyptians.
The Egyptian people, that is, we have to work. We have to work and work hard. And we look to our resources as a great country with a great civilizations. And nobody will solve us our problems. No country will respect us if we don't respect ourselves. And you can easily work with those you agree with. But the challenge is how to work with those you don't agree with everything with this. Egypt cannot be built by one group or two groups. It's built by all Egyptians, even they have differences in their understanding and their belief. And so we have to learn how to work together. If you walk alone, you can walk for fast. But if you want to walk for a long time, walk with someone. So we can walk together, so we walk and we can complete the walk till the end.
Thank you very much, Your Grace, and please pray for us here in the diocese and for the people in Egypt.
Thank you.
Thank you.